The Grand Prix.
Formula One on ITV in association with Texaco.
F1 2001 reaches crunch time. Michael Schumacher standing on the edge of his 4th World Drivers' Championship. He can wrap it up here at the Hungaroring. Hello there, welcome to the highlights of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Well, it's now a matter of when rather than if the German will retain his world title. 10 points from 5 races coming here to Hungary is the target, and Michael Schumacher starting on pole after a brilliant qualifying performance. The drivers have had a 3-week break since the last race in Germany, and they're content to wait a bit longer for the dusty track to clean up. McLaren's David Coulthard does as much as he can with a solid run to second, but he and the rest of the field are put in the shade by Michael Schumacher at his brilliant best. His best time, a staggering 8/10ths quicker than his nearest rival. So Schumacher, the champion in waiting, makes it his 41st pole position. Coulthard leading the challenge from the dirty side of the track in second. Barrichello and Hockenheim winner Ralf Schumacher on the second row. Trulli out-qualifying Hakkinen in the second McLaren. Heidfeld 7, Montoya 8, while Raikkonen and Villeneuve complete the top 10. Of the rest, Alesi's 12th on his debut for Jordan, while the man he replaced, Frentzen, he's 16th in the Prost. Enjoy the best of the Hungarian Grand Prix then with your commentators, Martin Brundle and Murray Walker.
Watch those lights in the bottom left corner of your screen. 1 on, 2 on, 3 on, 4 on, 5 on now, and it is go, 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 and good start for Schumacher, good start for Coulthard, better start for Barrichello. Barrichello's gained a pace. This is what Ferrari want. Bad start by David Coulthard. There is Jarno Trulli coming up, and diving through on the inside is Ralf Schumacher, but it's Michael Schumacher leading, Barrichello second.
Jaguar off in the first corner in the gravel trap. Eddie Irvine out of the race already, and that is not a safety car or red flag situation. And a Minardi rejoining the racetrack too at turn 2. But it was curious to start, Murray. They all got, I was looking out of the window while you were taking us through it. All the front got away well, but the McLaren did not seem to accelerate in the same way that the Ferrari did through the second phase of the start, if you like, and Barrichello simply drove past David Coulthard down towards the first corner.
And it's a dream scenario for Ferrari this early in the race. Michael Schumacher, clear track in front of him, his teammate Rubens Barrichello behind him. Look at the gap. I'm not accusing Barrichello of starting to delay the people behind him already, but it's going to be wonderful for Michael Schumacher to know, and he will know, that he's got a scarlet buffer between him and the third place man who he fears in this race, or had every reason to fear in this race, with David Coulthard up there, and away goes Schumacher, Barrichello, Coulthard behind him.
And the crowd erupts outside the commentary box window. They want a Ferrari victory this afternoon, the vast majority of them anyway. And at the moment, of course, it is looking good. 1.3 seconds ahead of Barrichello over the start-finish line was Michael Schumacher. And already then Coulthard closing up to the gearbox of Barrichello. But as we know well, it's difficult to pass there. You have to muscle your way through at this racetrack.
Here we go.
Here's the start, and watch the first 3 cars. They're all the way absolutely in unison. Coulthard tries to cover his line, but look, just does not have the acceleration. Unless Barrichello is significantly lighter, I think that's down to electronics, effectively, and we're just going to miss in the background Eddie Irvine falling initially off the track, and finally we see him spinning into the gravel and out of retirement already.
Riding with Coulthard, starting again.
Yes, a nice overhead shot then. Look, he goes to cover his line. He probably should have been much more aggressive. Barrichello's literally just going to power past down to that first corner. And well, there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. So let's see. I don't think I mean, 3 stopping could well be the fastest way, but if you get caught up in traffic, forget it. So 2 stop is the optimum. A 1 stop costs you another 20 seconds. The only way you do that is if you were towards the middle of the pack. I have a feeling Michelin runners are not coming to the party today, Murray.
Well, David Coulthard is a long way from giving up. We had Rubens Barrichello do a fastest lap. We're on lap 4 out of 77 now, incidentally. David Coulthard has just replied with a 1:19.6. And that compares with Nigel Mansell's all-time record of 1:18.3. That was way back in 1992 with the all-singing, all-dancing Williams-Renault. And you can see that Coulthard there in the silver and black McLaren, who we are with now, is hanging on to Barrichello in front of him.
Turn 11 then, a little gentle fall down to 12, where Coulthard tore the bottom out of his car in free practice on Friday. That suddenly put him on his back foot through the rest of practice and qualifying, and he's going to be sitting there moaning and hating the fact that he did not manage to get ahead of Barrichello into that, or stay ahead of Barrichello into that first corner. It's going to compromise the rest of his afternoon, no doubt about it.
Well, James Allen, what's the news?
Well, I'm looking at last year's records, Murray, and the McLarens did come in later for their first stops. Hakkinen came in on lap 31 and Coulthard lap 32, whereas Michael Schumacher was in on lap 27. So it's quite possible they are carrying a little bit more fuel, perhaps another 10 kilos. But as Martin was saying, tactically, the advantage has definitely been handed to Ferrari now. David Coulthard did not want Rubens Barrichello in front of him.
Thanks, James. Yes, Michael Schumacher can run his race, undoubtedly. He knows what he's on. He won here in 1994 for Benetton. He won here in 1998 for Ferrari, and he was second last year. So he knows the Hungaro ring. So does Rubens Barrichello, of course, who was 4th last year in his first season for Ferrari. And David Coulthard, he's done well here. He's had a couple of second places, he's had a 3rd place, and the 3 top men are way out front.
And Button in the pits, out of view of you at the moment. Jenson Button in for his stop and go penalty to add just a little bit more misery to his season. There he is now.
Yeah, poor Jenson. He qualified well down, and he was only 22nd in the warm-up this morning. But nevertheless, Benetton are very, very upbeat. They have a completely new aerodynamic package. They have all sorts of engine modifications. They say things haven't worked. Look at that front wing, very like the Ferrari wing, which has set the model for new front wings this season. So the significant thing about the race so far, in terms of the top 10 or so, is the fact that Rubens Barrichello got ahead of David Coulthard into second place at the start. You've heard us say ad nauseam how difficult it is to pass at the Hungaro ring, and you are seeing living proof of it now as Mika Hakkinen sits behind the rear wing of Jarno Trulli-Jordan.
Yes, and he's lapping about 1.5 seconds slower than I think the potential of that car. That's what Coulthard's doing up the front. 2 times a world champion, one of the all-time great Formula 1 drivers, Mika Hakkinen. If he's got an Achilles heel, Murray, when he gets buried down the pack a little bit, he doesn't seem always to be able to do anything about it, as Luciano Berti spins out of the race in Prost number 23.
Michael Schumacher, that fastest lap of 1:18.7, as near as makes no difference, is 4/10 of a second off the all-time lap record put up 9 years ago by Nigel Mansell in the all-singing, all-dancing Williams, which had just about every aid to management and driving mankind has ever thought of, a lot of which are not allowed anymore. So it's an indication of how the Formula 1 cars have developed over those years. We're on lap 13 now, out of 77, and Michael Schumacher is pulling away. 3.4 seconds is the lead. Rubens Barrichello is still ahead of David Coulthard. Enrique Benaldi is removed from the track. We didn't see him go off, but he obviously went into the gravel trap. And now here is Michael Schumacher closing up to lap.
We've seen, I think, two significant laps where Barrichello unquestionably slowed down. He's slowed by over a second a lap. Michael put in a couple of real sprinters to move the gap forward to 4.1 seconds. They will be keeping an eye on Coulthard. He's near enough to be a nuisance to Michael Schumacher this afternoon. And of course, they'll be wondering just how much fuel he's got on board. They will know that Coulthard was very fast in the warm-up this morning. Plus, of course, Michael is coming up to traffic. So they've built themselves a gap. A bit of team play going on here now from Ferrari. Michael with a 4-second cushion to give him more comfort through the back markers.
Well, it's certainly turning out to be a character-building year for Jenson Button. He's just been lapped by Michael Schumacher, and he's carving his way through the field. And look at it, clear track in front of him, clear track behind him.
And he's half a minute ahead of sixth-place man Mika Häkkinen.
Yes, double world champion Mika Häkkinen, the man who won here last year by taking a magnificent start from third on the grid, going past David Coulthard, past pole position holder Michael Schumacher last year. And Häkkinen controlled the race from the front last year, as Michael Schumacher is doing that. Cloud of dust there.
Yeah, Coulthard running wide in the last turn. Goes over the line, still in fact, an absolutely identical time for Barrichello and Coulthard, 118.587, 2 thousandths of a second. And Coulthard kicking up the dust as he's desperately trying to find a way of getting on the power earlier in the final corner to chase down those two Ferraris.
So how are we going for pit stops? This is lap 18. If Ferrari do the same this year as they did last year, they will be in round about 9 laps from now. The first of them, which would obviously be Michael Schumacher, but we'll have to wait and see. They might be on a different strategy. The McLarens, as we said earlier on, stayed out for another 4 laps last year, and it may well be that they'll do the same and that David Coulthard could potentially take the lead, but then of course it would all change when he had to come in. At least that's the usual theory, and we must not forget that the fuel rigs recently, and the new ones that were introduced this year, have given a lot of trouble.
Wouldn't surprise me if Barrichello came in earlier than the other two stoppers. It would be smart of Ferrari to give him a lesser fuel load. He was on the grippy side of the track behind Michael on the grid, and he had a good chance of beating Coulthard down to that first corner, which is exactly what happened. But we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. We'll be back shortly.
We're on lap 23 now, and we can expect them to come in 3, 4, 5 laps time.
It's always a scary moment when, as Coulthard was then, you're second man through. So often they don't see you. I got taken out of the Detroit Grand Prix exactly that way once when I was lapping with Alboreto in the Ferrari. We were moving through the field, and so often, and it happens so many times, the driver you're lapping realizes there's one car, but if you're really in close formation, he doesn't always know there are 2 of you coming along. Can so often turn in on the second of the 2 cars.
Now, just to tell you how difficult it is to pass here, between the 5th and the 9th men on the track, that's Jarno Trulli, Häkkinen, Heidfeld, Montoya and Kimi Räikkönen, there is just 2.7 seconds. We haven't seen them, but it is a very, very high-speed crocodile.
Michael's playing games. He's just done a 1:17.4, smashing even his new lap record. He's absolutely playing around this afternoon, and just he'll put the spurts in when he has to. He's got it absolutely under control. Only reliability can now stop, or some kind of pit stop problem can now stop Michael Schumacher becoming 4 times world champion.
Yeah, and that fastest lap he's just done was faster than his own pole position time last year. Here's the crocodile I was telling you about. Look at them, absolutely nose to tail. That is Kimi Räikkönen in 9th position. Ahead of him is Montoya in the Williams. Ahead of him is Heidfeld in the Sauber. And ahead of him is Mika Häkkinen. So they're all looking for a way past, but none of them are succeeding in finding it.
we're into the pit stop windows, no doubt about it. So there's Panis, we believe. There's the Ferrari mechanics. They're also getting ready. Who I would have thought it would be Barrichello that's in first. Michael currently, no, it's Michael. Schumacher is in first, so there he is. He's 12.8 seconds ahead. Last time past the start finish line, James.
Well, we're looking for something like 7 seconds here on this pit stop. But interestingly, guys, in the last 4 laps, Schumacher has doubled his lead here. So it's been an absolutely astonishing performance by him. Very good indeed as he goes back out in front. But it was a key moment there just before that stop, because on lap 22 he was 7.5 seconds ahead of Coulthard. He was 14.5 before ahead of him when he came in for this stop.
And brand new tyres then on the Ferrari, and Michael rejoining just in front of fourth place, who was fourth place, Ralf Schumacher. In fact, he stays fourth, doesn't he? He has not leapfrogged Michael. Michael will be mighty relieved that he managed to get out just in front of his brother. That's another key element of putting together this afternoon's race for Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, so it means, of course, that Rubens Barrichello leads the race now on lap 29, with David Coulthard into second place. Michael Schumacher has done it absolutely right. Here come Jarno Trulli and Mika Häkkinen, pursued now by Juan Pablo Montoya, who has gained a place as a result of Nick Heidfeld going into the pits. And here is Jenson Button, and he is already a lap down. This is his second stop. Jenson Button has been in before in the Benetton. Here he is exiting the pit lane, making sure he stays inside that white line. Remember how Ralf Schumacher lost out before.
Yes, and Jenson, of course, his first stop of the afternoon was a stop-and-go penalty for jumping the start. But we hear Jordan are also getting ready, so maybe Trulli coming in this time around, and then you'll see Häkkinen get the hammer down for a few laps. And I think if Häkkinen can stay out longer than Trulli, he will surely clear the Jordan up into fifth place.
Rubens Barrichello leads. David Coulthard is second. Michael Schumacher has stopped and is third. Ralf Schumacher is fourth, has not stopped. Trulli is still fifth ahead of Mika Häkkinen. Those are the top 6. Montoya is up into 7th. Villeneuve is up into 8th. Jean Alesi is now in 9th position from 12th.
Trulli in the pits then, so Häkkinen's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. He'll need to clear that early and then pull out some of his stunning laps, and hopefully we'll pick up Trulli down the pit lane. We do. So fifth place man then, Trulli in towards the Jordan pit. Louise.
Yeah, Jarno making his way into the pit lane. He's actually been desperate to come in for the last couple of laps. He's been reporting that he's having problems with his tyres. The team have been stating, no, you've got to stay out. The only way that they're going to keep Mika Häkkinen behind them was by keeping Trulli out on the track in front of him. Give Häkkinen a couple of clear laps, which he will now have, and I think we'll see him going past.
And a disastrous stop for him there, 13-odd seconds. He seemed to be an age getting away. He couldn't get away. The car was not on the ground. That was the reason. The fuel hose was being laid down. It was a very strange stop there for Jarno Trulli. Couldn't see exactly what the problem was.
So here is the new race leader, Rubens Barrichello, pursued by David Coulthard, whose car runs a bit wide there. And now into the pits has come Ralf Schumacher, who was in 4th position. Now we're going to see as streaking through on the inside goes the Ferrari, followed by the McLaren, past the Jordan, and it's still Barrichello, followed by David Coulthard first and second. Ralf Schumacher is out of the pits. What's the situation with Mika Häkkinen? I'm looking to see him come past now.
Well, Häkkinen's done a 1:21.2. It's now 1:19. He crosses the line now, 1:19. But with that desperately poor stop of Trulli's, I think Häkkinen should come out well ahead of Jarno Trulli. Ferrari getting ready again this time around. Clearly, that of course is for Rubens Barrichello. Will McLaren come out into the pit lane? No, they do not. So, leader Barrichello in this time around. That, I would assume, is Villeneuve in there. Yes, indeed it is. Villeneuve in for his stop. Häkkinen, Montoya definitely pushing on now. They've got a bit of clear space. Now Trulli is out of the way. Barrichello pulls up to his pit. Let's have a look. The fuel hose slow on there for Barrichello, no doubt about it. Fresh tyres on. Michael Schumacher crosses the line to retake the lead of the Grand Prix. Out comes Jean Alesi from his pit stop too. So Alesi rejoins. He was in 9th position. And here comes Barrichello. Coulthard leads the Grand Prix.
Yes, David Coulthard leading. Barrichello into the pits. Michael Schumacher has gone through. There is Barrichello out, so Michael Schumacher is now back in front of his number 2 in the Ferrari team, and David Coulthard has yet to come in. Now, we're now on the 32nd lap, which is where David Coulthard came in last year. Different car, of course, the fuel capacity, and the engine consumption is by no means necessarily the same.
Fastest man of anybody so far in the race through the first sector. Coulthard on an absolute charge, a reasonable mid-sector, 31.1 seconds, and attacking the entry to the corner heavily. McLaren mechanics in the pit lane. Coulthard taking the widest possible line to maximise his speed before he gets near the speed limiter zone, which is now, take it away, James.
David Coulthard then coming into the pits. This hasn't been the afternoon that he had expected as he comes into his box, nice and precise. And interestingly, he's putting a fairly used left front tyre and a not so used right front tyre. He's got the engine gunning and he drops the clutch. He's furious and frustrated, but I don't think he really has an answer for the Ferrari onslaught this afternoon.
No, he hasn't. Schumacher has gone through. Now there is Barrichello coming towards us at the present moment as David Coulthard exits the pit lane. Is he going to be ahead? Yes! Yes! David Coulthard is ahead of Rubens Barrichello. So, a good pit stop for David Coulthard has put him ahead, and he's now sandwiched between race leader Michael Schumacher and the man who has been in second place for most of the race, that man, Rubens Barrichello. Oh,
Fisichella, isn't it?
No, it's Jenson Button. Now, well, he's right on the grid, and you come whistling round that last turn at about an approach speed on the apex of 80 miles an hour, and he's out of the car, so Jenson Button is out of the car, out of the race, and they must get that car out of the way. As into the pits comes Mika Häkkinen from 5th position. Now, Kimi Räikkönen was some 28 seconds behind. Very, very quick, slick stop. Less than 7 seconds. That's lap 39, and the McLarens have stayed out much longer here this year than they did last year. And we're on lap 39 now, 77-lap race. Schumacher leading David Coulthard by 11 seconds. Coulthard lapping marginally faster, 4/10 of a second, but it's going to take a long time for 4/10 of a second a lap to carve into an 11-second lead. And Louise Goodman is with Jenson Button.
I am indeed. Murray Jenson after the highs at Hockenheim. That was really one to forget, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wasn't the best race in the world. I had a stop-go penalty. Not quite sure why, but there you go. And then I was pushing really hard at the end, well, that part of the race, and the rear of the car just came around. We've been struggling from oversteer. Well, I've been struggling from oversteer for most of the race, and just pushing a bit hard, and the rear came around, and that was it.
Schumacher then homing in on 7th place man Montoya, and it's just a 78-second lap here, of course, so it's not unusual for a lot of lapping to go on. Montoya being extremely courteous. He's not really in a race, is Montoya at the moment, although he was only 3 or 4 seconds behind Heidfeld, but being very, very courteous to race leader Michael Schumacher, who's still maintaining a 12.7 second lead over David Coulthard.
You're absolutely right about Häkkinen, and he's doing it again. He's already made the fastest lap of the race, 1:16.8 on lap 48, and it looks as though his current lap is going to be a very quick one too. Now, I was saying earlier on that because the tyres are individually made, you can literally get one set giving a better performance than the other. That's the only thing I can think of at the moment that's beneficially affecting it.
Absolutely, and the tyres do vary. It's a chemical reaction between the rubber and the racetrack, and they're not all, as hard as they try, absolutely identical. James is in the pits.
Yeah, the second stops, guys, coming up in the next 5 to 8 laps. Now, it's worth remembering that Rubens Barrichello pitted 2 laps before David Coulthard. It's really going to come down to fractions of a second in the pit stop as to whether Rubens or David comes out ahead this afternoon. We've just seen a second ago Kimi Räikkönen coming in from 6th place. It took him almost 10 seconds to make a pit stop, and he's lost ground. We saw it before with Trulli. It can happen.
Look at Trulli. Incidentally, you see an auxiliary rear wing just behind the camera at the top of the car. Several teams have got extra aerodynamic aids at the Hungaroring because downforce is what you need. Williams have got quite a large extra rear wing. McLaren have got a very small extra rear wing, and Williams have also got a higher secondary wing. Any little extra bit of pressure you can get forcing the tyres down on this slippery track is very welcome.
we've got a reverse situation here from the first set of pit stops, where Coulthard is now under pressure from Barrichello rather than the other way around, and it's all going to be a question of can he stay in front this time instead of can he leapfrog. Coulthard definitely struggling in the second half of this stint, the middle stint of the race, of course, and Barrichello able to keep within 7/10 of a second. Montoya in for his second stop.
Scrubbed set of tyres, I see. Those have been used before. It improves the performance. And off goes a tear-off. The drivers have over their transparent visors auxiliary flexible ones, which they can rip off when they get bits of rubber or dirt sticking to them to improve their vision. And Rubens Barrichello's vision is very clear about who is in front of him as in comes the BAR.
I think I saw the front of the car being dropped there a little bit too early. It is Villeneuve who is in the pits. Of course, he was in 10th place, so Villeneuve rejoins. I wonder if there's a cloud come over or something, because all of a sudden everybody's laughing quite a bit faster, so I would imagine temperatures are just falling away a little bit, and they're finding some good mechanical grip from this racetrack.
It's only 34 degrees now.
I know, but there's something's happened out there, because everybody suddenly started pumping in 17s where they were doing 18s, or 18s where they were doing 19s.
It's amazing how just what seems quite a small temperature change can beneficially affect the performance of the cars. And you're looking now at David Coulthard, second place, coming out of the last corner before Rubens Barrichello. David's already had a couple of second places this year, of course, in Australia and at the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. Rubens Barrichello's had even more second places. He's had 3 of them at the Malaysian Grand Prix and at Monaco, and the last race, which was the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. So, closing on David Coulthard's car, and Mika Häkkinen continues to go faster and faster, but he's still 15 seconds behind 4th place Ralf Schumacher.
Yeah, let's have a look at the scraps. This is the best one. Barrichello 9/10 behind Coulthard. Häkkinen just 13 seconds behind 4th place man Ralf Schumacher. Then we go down to Panis 8th, Montoya 9th. Where there's just 1.4 seconds between them. Not too many other fights on the racetrack this afternoon. And the Ferrari mechanics in the pit lane. Last time around, Michael Schumacher pitted first. An 11.9 second lead at the moment. Häkkinen just doing yet another new lap record, a 1:16.723. And there is Michael Schumacher. Again, we're looking for something sub 8 seconds for a perfect one, but they don't need to rush. They can just be calm. Michael's calm on the throttle. He's not flipping it. He's keeping it all calm. And did he get away? We cut away, but did he get away? Yes, he is. I can see him out of the window now. Michael Schumacher just very calmly pulling away. He knows he's got enough in his pocket to maintain the lead once the others have all made their second stop. And again, he just makes it out in front, crucially, of 2 more cars, so he will not have a slow out lap.
David Coulthard and Rubens Barrichello have gone through, so again David Coulthard is leading the Hungarian Grand Prix. That is 4th place man Ralf Schumacher. So all the top men now have made their stops, second stops, except, of course, significantly, David Coulthard and Rubens Barrichello. Michael Schumacher has been in, Ralf Schumacher has been in. The order on lap 53 out of 77 at the present moment is Coulthard, Barrichello, Michael Schumacher that you are looking at. Look at all the rubber crumb on the circuit there. We call them marbles, and they can be very, very slippery indeed and take the car off if you hit them at the wrong place. So the crucial thing now is, can David Coulthard... There is Barrichello. Right.
James, take it away.
Well, we're looking for something, as you say, about sub 7 seconds. It's going to be very, very marginal indeed as to who comes second today. It's not really that great. So Coulthard has a window of opportunity. Can he take it?
Well, Barrichello, that 8.5 second stop may decide the place.
Yes, and Coulthard on that very same lap did his fastest of the race, a 1:17.0, and this could be crucial with, I think I'm hearing there's a Williams off. Yes, there is. Montoya off for the second time today. The first time around, he got away with it easily. This time around, it looks like he hasn't fared so well. Panis has passed him. But I see McLaren in the pit lane. It will surely be for Coulthard. Hakkinen is on a completely different strategy, and this, I think, is going to decide second place this afternoon. Coulthard on a very hot in-lap as well. A good first sector. He's lost half a second in the mid-sector to the best of the afternoon. Not too bad. He'll take a wide, sweeping line into that long but tight right-hander. Squirt now down. He's looking for that white line now, and he can already see somebody in the pit lane with his lollipop, James.
It takes just 3.5 seconds to change the wheels. It's the fuel that takes the time. 50 kilos of it need to go in, and anything under 8 seconds should hand the lead. Roaring on the throttle, David Coulthard. It's not great. The release didn't come off. Where's Rubens Barrichello?
There is Michael Schumacher. It's going to be mighty, mighty close. There is Rubens Barrichello on the right. There is David Coulthard on the left. And the Benetton is in front. And Barrichello's going to do it. Yes! Barrichello goes through into second place. David Coulthard has lost out as a result of that sticky fuel nozzle.
Yeah, the fuel nozzle wouldn't come off, would it? And Coulthard could not get away. That has cost him second place at the moment. Barrichello moves crucially 2 places nearer to him, 2 points nearer to him in the World Championship as well, if they stay like this. And also Ferrari will take the Constructors' World Championship this afternoon, all on a sticky fuel nozzle.
Yeah, and if that happens, let me just make this point, that if Michael Schumacher takes the World Championship, it will have been with 4 races still to go: Belgium, Italy, America and Japan. When the great Nigel Mansell did that in 1992, there were still 5 races to go. I wish not to detract from Schumacher's performance, if he performs it, because we're on lap 55 now. There's still 22 laps to go, but it's a point that's worth making as you look at third place, David Coulthard, and Barrichello has regained that second place that he held for so long and lost on the previous pit stop, which means to say that Ferrari leads, Ferrari second, Schumacher leads, Barrichello second. McLaren's are third and fourth now, because as a result of the pit stops, Mika Häkkinen is now up into fourth place, but he is 7.8 seconds behind his teammate David Coulthard and has yet to make his second stop.
And Jarno Trulli once again out of the motor race.
Oh dear, Eddie Jordan is going to be down, down, down in the dumps, because yet again Jarno Trulli retires from the Grand Prix.
And we see the McLaren mechanics getting ready for Häkkinen. Häkkinen then in for his second stop from what was fourth place. He had a 17.9 second advantage over Ralf Schumacher. This is going to be nip and tuck. I'm assuming Ralf will maintain that position. He does. He passes our window. Ralf maintains 5th position, but Häkkinen getting ever closer after losing all that time earlier in the race, and so nearly connecting there with Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
There is Frentzen's car. So of the two major people who changed teams, Frentzen to Prost and Alesi to Jordan, that is the first retirement with Frentzen out in the Prost. Very, very difficult, of course, for a driver. It's quite noticeable that Fisichella is staying well ahead of Ralf Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen. They're closing now. It's going to be very, very close indeed at the end of this lap. And Mika Häkkinen will be getting as close as he possibly can to Ralf Schumacher.
Yeah, Häkkinen absolutely giving it plenty, isn't he? He really wants that 4th place this afternoon very badly. You're right, Murray, they're only sort of slowly homing in on Fisichella. Fisichella already having received at least 3 or 4 blue flags. Will he just blend off the throttle, let them through? Yes, indeed, he will. But Häkkinen, therefore, loses another opportunity to somehow find a way past that Williams.
And still, if you're a Ferrari fan and you're worried about what is happening up front, I can tell you you've got nothing to worry about.
because Michael Schumacher, knowing exactly what the score is being kept in touch with things by radio. There is his teammate behind him in second place. That scarlet car is the Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello, and David Coulthard has now got quite a bit of air between him and the car ahead. He's still in third position though, but he's seeing his chances of the World Championship slip away. Well, the fat lady must be in the wings now, warming up her voice box to start singing, because it is very near the end of the Hungarian Grand Prix, with Michael Schumacher on his 71st lap out of 77, and he's keeping that lead of about 7 seconds. You're watching him now as he dives inside the Jordan of Jean Alesi, the only one left now. He's in 10th place and he's been lapped. And Michael Schumacher is maintaining that 7-second lead over his teammate Rubens Barrichello, who's having to fight very, very hard indeed to keep the Mercedes-Benz powered McLaren of David Coulthard, the championship contender, clear. And he's succeeding. So Ferrari leads, Ferrari second, and it's still no change in fourth position, with Ralf Schumacher, who's been there for virtually the whole race. However, the battle between Ralf Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen, and as in comes the McLaren.
That's strange, isn't it? So clearly can't be a scheduled stop. Häkkinen, maybe they didn't get enough fuel in or something last time around. Häkkinen in the pits, and yes, they're going to give him a quick splash and dash. Clearly they didn't quite get enough fuel in on his last stop, and that's taken away any excitement of can Häkkinen pass Ralf Schumacher for fourth place. What a shame. He's not going to lose any places, because Heidfeld is a lap down and 48 seconds behind. But great shame there for us and for Mika Häkkinen.
I wonder if that's another fuel rig problem, Martin. There have been so many of them. Incorrect delivery of fuel this season.
Well, we're just looking at the two stops that he's done this afternoon. One was 6.8, the other 6.6 seconds. They are absolutely on the limit, and it seems like over the limit. They did not, it appears, get enough fuel, and they'll know after the car's gone out, they'll know exactly how much they got in.
This superlatively fit man, and another of the incredible aspects of his career is that he's done it mostly in cars which have not been as good as the competition. The Ferrari is arguably the best car this year, but not by very much if it is. But in previous years, it most certainly has not been. So 75 laps completed by Michael Schumacher, almost 76 laps completed, 76 laps completed now. Michael Schumacher is on his way on the last lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix to rewrite Formula One history. Championship number 4 coming up. Leader, Michael Schumacher. Final lap, car, Ferrari. And it's going to be a Ferrari second place unless David Coulthard can do something absolutely incredible in the closing stages of the last lap, which will mean to say that it will not only be Michael Schumacher world champion as he was last year, as he was in 94, as he was in 95 for Benetton, but it will mean that Ferrari have won the Constructors' World Championship as well. Not for the first time recently, not for the second time recently, but for the third time in succession. And Michael Schumacher comes out of turn 11 in 14 into turn 12. 13 is coming up now. It's a 14 corner lap, and Michael Schumacher goes into that last corner for the last time at the Hungarian Grand Prix. He exits the corner, he crosses the line. Michael Schumacher wins. Michael Schumacher is world champion. Barrichello is second. David Coulthard is third, and Ferrari are Constructors' World Champions. And Michael Schumacher, as ever, is absolutely euphoric. Brilliant.
That's Ralf Schumacher then, still heading around towards the end of the lap. He, of course, will be fourth, confirming Häkkinen did manage to regain the track in fifth after that splash and dash. But a 1-2 for Ferrari, which nicely underlines Michael's 51st Grand Prix victory. Barrichello suitably pleased with himself, and I think so he should be this afternoon. Ralph then round the last corner. Best of a bad job this afternoon, I think. Really didn't have the car underneath him for whatever reason, but nonetheless 3 World Championship points for Ralph Schumacher. He won't be on the podium, which will be a shame for him, to support his brother's 4th World Championship. To Hakkinen then, 5th place man. Curious afternoon for Hakkinen, but certainly showing plenty of speed when he had some clear air in front of him.
Ferrari in the World Championship, 140 points, nearly twice as many as McLaren, and there are still 4 races to go in Belgium, in Italy, in America and Japan. So a wonderful Hungarian Grand Prix. It's seen the 2 World Championships decided in favour of Michael Schumacher and Ferrari. A truly memorable occasion.
Elation and the suspicion of a tear from Michael Schumacher. Ferrari sweeping the board in Budapest. The drivers and constructors' titles tucked away again, opening the floodgates for a massive party. Wearing red is compulsory. So then Michael Schumacher, just like Nigel Mansell back in 1992, winning the world title at the Hungaroring. 3 wins for Schumacher, equals Senna's record in Hungary, and will he now help teammate Barrichello overhaul Coulthard? 4th, a Budapest best for Ralph Schumacher. Hakkinen 5th, Heidfeld collecting the last point. Schumacher can't be caught. 40 points available at best to his rivals, and he's 43 clear. Coulthard, he'll have to go some to keep Ralph Schumacher and Barrichello at bay. A couple of points for Hakkinen. It's official then, a hat-trick of constructors' titles for Ferrari. The top 3 look sorted. Heidfeld scored 1 for Sauber. British American Racing and Jordan both draw a blank. The reigning champion, though, is top man again.
There is a lot of things coming together. 51 victory, Drivers' Championship, Constructors' Championship, thanks to Rubens. We all can celebrate that tonight, and that's a great achievement within one event.
Well, he's naturally talented, and he just has huge commitments. I mean, when he was on holiday, he was karting a lot of the days because he just likes driving. I said before, he'll drive this car if he was earning $50,000 a year. It's not the money, it's just the sheer pleasure of driving. And he's such an enthusiast. Along with the talent he has, it's unbeatable.
To work with this team is something very special. You don't know what is really happening inside very often, but we have had tough times, which hasn't come out to the outside, but we've always stick together so much, and that's something outstanding. I've worked for various teams, not so many teams on the other side, but the human point I really have to point out in that team is something very special. I don't want to put down my time with Benetton, because that was a great time too, certainly. So I hope my guys and my friends at Benetton don't feel upset about that, but obviously the 7 years I'm now in Ferrari is something very special, certainly.
I think it was exactly the track where we could expect that he would win his championship, and dominating the whole weekend, and really deserving this title and the record.
And he's taken your record away as well. Does that bother you at all? Are you happy to see it?
To see what, the 51?
Yeah.
No, I'm quite proud to be with him. For another 2 weeks, maybe I can be equal to him, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's look back at the key moments with Tony Jardine. David Coulthard needed a great start, but he never looked like getting away from the dirty side of the track.
Despite trying to clean it up during the warm-up session this morning, superior grip, and I say the launch control of the traction of the Ferraris, which has been worked on. Look at that, even Barrichello getting ahead of him, demoting Coulthard down to 3rd place. During this ban on testing in the last 3 weeks, you're allowed 50 kilometres of shakedown. What was it? That was just Irvine going off just in the background. They were just doing starts with Luca Badoa, 10 kilometres worth, and it shows here from the cockpit of David Coulthard. Look at Michael Schumacher just going away there, and now Rubens Barrichello comes into shot. Badoa's just doing launch control starts and then getting towed back to ensure that he didn't go over the limit of the testing kilometres.
So catch up after that for David Coulthard. 2 pit stops, 1 excellent, 1 poor.
Rubens Barrichello has already been in. David Coulthard then goes in the lap after. Superb job by McLaren. Michael Negline, the chief mechanic, and the boys get that car with a brand new chassis out ahead. He gets in second place. The second pit stop, in he comes. Here's the problem, fuel nozzle sticking on there. Extra 2 seconds mean the difference between second and third place. Here, look, David Coulthard coming down the pit lane. Rubens Barrichello there. Just nips past him to take that second place back, and questions will be asked by Ron Dennis about the Intertechnic refueling equipment.
Strange race for Mika Häkkinen, who's won here for the last couple of years. First of all, held up by Jarno Trulli, and then behind Ralf Schumacher, and then having to come in for an unexpected pit stop.
I think it's all about his career, his job being on the line, and I think McLaren are not signing him at the moment because they're checking out his commitment for the future. Is he still hungry? Does he still want to race for us? We're only surmising at this point. Later in the race, Mika Häkkinen, look at this, climbing all over the back of Ralf Schumacher, trying to take fourth place, setting fastest laps in the process. Too late by this time. But is the refueling equipment at fault after the second stop? Not enough fuel on board. He has to come in for a splash and dash and loses the chance of getting that fourth place for McLaren. Big Ron will ask more questions in the house.
A little pre-race scare for Michael Schumacher, but all weekend he's come back refreshed, he's come back calm, and I got the impression this was going to be his day.
Absolutely brilliant job from Ferrari, which they've done all year. The commitment from this man to take the 4 world title. But you know, he's thinking about 2002 because he said, I really wanted to win here so we can get the championship out of the way and concentrate on the 2002 car. There's Barrichello coming home to make it a Ferrari 1-2. He said, this is a Ferrari era. Look how excited he is, passionate about his sport. I really want to, we want to make this an era that lasts this time. Jean Todt there on the left of your picture, who's done so much to galvanize this team. Rubens, a great teammate. And 4 titles for this ordinary bloke from Germany, Michael Schumacher. Absolutely brilliant.
We are the champions that they were singing up there. So the big titles have gone, but there's still a lot to fight for over the concluding 4 races.
There's no question that McLaren will keep developing the car. There's no question that Coulthard, who has had a brilliant season anyway, will keep fighting all the way through to the end, because there's pride at stake now. McLaren need to win a few before the end of the season and give them a good winter so they can build on it.
Good, Tony, thank you very much. Almost a home Grand Prix for Michael Schumacher. In a couple of weeks' time, we go to Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix, live qualifying on the Saturday at 11:30. Pre-race build-up from just after midday on the Sunday, highlights 12:20, repeated as always ITV2 on the Monday night. Michael Schumacher is a very special sporting talent. He's a man who, above all, loves his craft. A spot of karting, on holiday, world champion again when he came back to work. Good night.
Just one more fight about your leadership, and I will straight up leave your ship, 'cause I've had enough of this. Yeah, this time I'ma let it all come out. This time I'ma stand up and shout. I'ma do things my way. It's my way or the highway. This time I'ma let it all come out. This time I'ma stand up and shout. I'ma do things my way. It's my way or the highway.
And Michael Schumacher gives it the welly out of the last corner and wins the Australian Grand Prix.
Look at that, Michael Schumacher off, amazing, both the Ferraris off. And on the very last lap of the Spanish Grand Prix, Michael Schumacher looks as though he's going to go through and take another win. What an incredible situation.